you could have the world's best sales process, the world's best sales plan. You could have all of it really buttoned up. But people are going to be like, well, I think I know a better way. Or Matt used to be my peer. Now he's the boss. I'm not listening to this guy. He doesn't know nothing. Like, oh, he only got all that business because he's worked here a long time. Like, there's all kinds of things. And that's the biggest challenge when you get put into that sales leadership role.
Sales is the most crucial step of any business. If you don't sell, you don't have a business. Kind of a very simple formula, which is why today on the Business Library, I have Matt Hall on here, and we're going to go over sales strategy, maybe also what it doesn't take to be a sales leader. That's some of the things that is going to come in this episode. But to start us off, Matt, can you share the story of how you first got into sales, specifically doing cold calling over the phone?
Oh, yeah. So when I graduated school, it was 2003. I don't even know if I told you this. I have a marketing degree and was out there in the world trying to find a marketing job. There weren't a lot of them available. And I can tell you, in my experience, nobody wanted to give the unexperienced guy a job. Nope. So I'm out there pounding the pavement, hustling. I'm like, man, I need to get a job. I was engaged. I had a place. I'm like, I need a job. And where that led me was to a job fair. And I went to the booth that no one else was at, Target Rich Environment. Should have probably figured out that was going to lead me down to sales anyway. But I went and met with these folks. And what really drew me in is sports collectibles was their business that I saw at their booth, because I like sports. But they're like, he goes, yeah, that's part of what we do. But really, the main part of our business is selling collectible coins over the phone. Oh, I could do that. But they positioned it like it was more of a marketing type of thing. It was not. Like, I was on a dialer, not the dialers of today, the dialers of old, selling collectible coins over the phone. And it was tough. But I learned a lot about what sales is, what it isn't. But more importantly, I learned a lot about myself, that, I had some of that skill, like innate skill. Hopefully I've gotten better over the last 22 years, but that's kind of what got me into it. It was a bit haphazard, and frankly, I needed a job.
You only really know what it's like being on the phone with a prospect that's never heard about you or your company before you actually have done it. It's not really a good way, other way to describe it. It's an experience, and it develops a little bit of thick skin. You hear a thing or two you couldn't even imagine before starting. You're like, oh, I didn't kidnap your children. Can we relax a little bit?
I've heard things. I've heard lots of things. And what's interesting is that was a B2C sale, so you hear different things, or at least in your mind, you hear you're going to be different things. As I've gotten into B2B sales since then, not really in the cold calling space anymore, because, the world's changed, my role's changed, the business I'm in has changed, all those things. But when I was in a business doing a lot of cold calling B2B, you're probably not shocked. Some people might be shocked how rude some people are to one another. And I'm just like, man, just say no. Say no. You don't need to curse at me. You don't need to call me every name in the book. You don't need to, it shocked me the first couple times it happened in a B2B space. B2C, you're like, I'm just expecting it. So yeah, I've heard some things. It does build a thick skin. My kids tell me no. I'm like, whatever. Like, it means nothing to me. Like, I've heard it 10,000 times before. I've heard worse. So yeah, it does build you up a thick skin, but it doesn't change the fact that salespeople are still human beings.
Oh, some of them more than others. But in the terms of B2B, I've seen one guy do B2B sales. That was actually for own company in a sec. And I was surprised about how nice the people were, how receptive. There were no cursing. They're very polite, actually.
Yep.
So I was shocked in that direction. But yeah, people are not very, very nice. You are interrupting their day, but some people take it more personal than others. But going down the line from the phone sales, like cold calling, take us a little bit further down the line of your journey to when you actually got a promotion to a sales leader.
Yeah. So I had done a couple different things on coins over the phone. Um, I sold different kind of media, did some print, did some online, did some dabbled in radio and TV. And that kind of took me down this path of I ended up working at a digital marketing agency that was part of another business. So like I like to say we were a startup inside of another business. So my paycheck always cleared, which was important at the time. So I was hired to do other things, but then this agency grew out of that business and I was the first sales employee. So I was making cold calls, B2B, you know, pitching digital marketing services to people who had no idea we existed. I was probably making 500 to 600 cold dials a week. And I did that for, I don't even know how many years, more than 5. And I started to become successful, start hitting my numbers, start generating some revenue. And as that business grew, they hired other salespeople. But we didn't have everything documented. We had some things documented, but it wasn't, okay, here's the questions, here's our script, here's this, here's, our ideal client profile drilled down. Like we didn't have this great playbook. So I was out there doing my thing and they had other people on this team. I was just sales guy out there in the world. And as the team grew, they took my boss and promoted him and they promoted me. Why did they promote me to that frontline sales manager? Because I was the one selling the most. It's very common. Hey, you're good at selling this stuff. You should lead this team. So that's my story, but it's not one that's unique to me. It's very common that happens where like, hey, you're good at selling this. Hey, frankly, tell these other people to do what you do. If only it was that simple.
It's kind of that simple. It's just that people understand things differently.
That is the key.
Things differently. Communication kind of it reminds me of one of the models from back in school. You have like your message and the person you're trying to reach, and then you have the filter in between. Yeah. And sometimes that filter can be quite thick. I definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and to add to that, people that are on your team come with their own experiences, good, bad, and otherwise. So you can tell them like, hey, this is how we do things here. Or, hey, this guy's in charge now, do what he says. And you can have everything documented. You could have the world's best sales process, the world's best sales plan. You can have all of it really buttoned up. But people are going to be like, well, I think I know a better way. Or, yeah, Matt used to be my peer. Now he's the boss. I'm not listening to this guy. He doesn't know nothing. Like, oh, he only got all that business because he's worked here a long time. Like, there's all kinds of things. And that's the biggest challenge when you get put into that sales leadership role. If you get promoted inside the same company like me, if you get, picked up to a new company, a headhunter finds you or something, there's all kinds of different things. But that challenge of like, you just can't come in there and tell everybody what to do and expect it to work. That was the biggest challenge that I faced. That and the second biggest challenge is, I know this now, but no one explained to me at the time that being a salesperson and being a sales manager are two drastically different jobs. I sound stupid in my own head when I say that. Like, of course it is. But when you're in that moment, you don't think it. You're like, oh, I'm just going to keep doing the things that got me here and made me successful. No. So those are two really, really big challenges. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I sucked at overcoming those challenges. I was not really good at that job at that point in time in my career. Luckily, some of those people still talk to me to this day. Others do not. Others would see me walking down the street and they would cross the other side. And
what have you done?
But it didn't. It just what I wasn't equipped. I wasn't equipped to run that play because I was just running the play I was running when I was a salesperson. And those people on my team were not me. They didn't have the experience I had. They hadn't worked in that business that long. They came from different industries. There's all these things, all these variables. And I was not equipped to accommodate their variables to get them to do the things that we needed to do in that business to be successful. So that's why it's not like I yelled at anybody and did that, but it was just like, they look back on that and say that probably wasn't pleasant. It wasn't pleasant for me, probably wasn't pleasant for them. And I take full responsibility for that because I did not have all the pieces. If I had to do it now, well, now I'm better equipped. Now I know, like, okay, here's how you build a plan. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. Why? Because somebody taught me. At the time, nobody taught me. AI didn't exist in its current form. I couldn't really go to my boss and tell him I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Like, so I just did this. I just spun.
Well, I just got that the evidence that the Europeans have thicker skin than Americans, because I did management myself and I did yell at one guy, and I'm pretty sure he would say hey to me if he saw me on the street. Even without me going up to him. Don't take it as well. I don't think he took it very personal, but there's definitely a big difference in being equipped and going into the way you go into the role, because like the biggest difference in leading people compared to doing something yourself is you have to tell it to them so they understand it. You have to communicate it. What's just up here and all of that is they don't have that. You got to transmit that. That's where at least I see the challenging coming in, and I guess it's almost like a relief for you now that you're more going along the lines of sales strategy and not having to run like a sales team.
It's a good yes and no. Now, if I had a time machine and I could go back in time, knowing what I know now, oh yeah, I wouldn't be scared at all. I'd be like, let's do it. Like, I would approach that role completely different than I did, the first time around. So there's that. But also what's interesting about that, the relief component, is I use that every day. Like, now I don't lead a team, but I talk to business owners and sales leaders all the time. And so that experience, and there was some wins in there. There was some good things. Of course there was. But the good and the bad and the things that I messed up that I could redo, that helps me every day. And I get to share some of the more details of that story with people that I'm talking to. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're kind of doing the same thing. I'm like, okay, well, what are you experiencing? You're doing these things, you're experiencing this, but what's the outcome? Because if the outcome is working, okay, do we need to change it? Maybe not. Do we need to maybe tweak something else? Maybe. So like when you say relief, no, it's just part of the journey, right? Like, but I'll tell you, if you'd have talked to me when I was in the middle of it, oh yeah, I would have said, find me some relief. And eventually I did. Different story for a different day. But like in this moment, I don't look at it as relief. I look at it as, hey, I'm pulling on that every day. I'm using that every day. And at some point in time in the future, I might lead a sales team again. Great. I'll be so much better equipped. I'll be able to share these stories with people. I'll be like, hey, we're good. I made the mistakes. Yep, you're lucky. I made the mistakes elsewhere. Let's talk through this. Let's do it together. That's a big thing about sales leadership. You're not doing the things to the people on your team. You're not saying, well, this is how we run sales process here. No, you're doing it with them, not to them. It's no different than if, in your personal life, somebody's like doing something to you, or like you go to buy something and they're selling it to you. People don't want that. You want to be involved in the process and be, part of it. Again, another mistake I made. I just tried to do everything to the people, not bring them into what I was trying to get done.
Well, the best employees, I would argue, are the people that are gonna fuck the process. I have a better way for this. I'm gonna show it to you, because that's something you can't teach people. Like,
I agree.
To a certain extent, yes, you can put it in people, but literally saying, I don't care about what you say, I'm going to do this my way, and just nod along the way. I have done that. And if it works, nobody's going to say anything. Because
that's interesting.
I remember getting into more sales strategy 1 second, but
yeah,
I was like, no, there was like me, one manager, and one manager above that. Then there was one above, but that was basically the ladder. And the one just above me said, no, you need to do this. I don't want anybody else doing it. And I was like, well, in my head, I was like, you set me that target. I will give it one more shot if I can do it by myself. If I can't, I'm getting somebody else to do it. So yeah. I as mentioned, like as I knew what wasn't able to hit it, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just teach a few people that's on the late night team to actually go and do it, because they have a bunch of time. They don't like, and not that productive for us actually helping other people at that point. Like, well, a few of them can do it, and then the boss above us, both me and her, was like, "Oh, good job." In front of her,
Yeah.
and I couldn't resist smiling a little bit, but I didn't look over at her. Just, I wasn't that petty. I was like, let's keep the peace here, because I did just
Yeah.
go, nope, 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 nope. We are not doing that. Apologies to ask for forgiveness afterwards. I've learned.
That it is, especially when it works.
Well,
It's
don't have to
interesting you
ask for
share
forgiveness.
that. Well, it's interesting you share that story. So I'm not here to say just because there's this process built inside of a sales organization that we should not think and we should not try, we should not experiment. Nope. But you know what? This is the framework that has proven to be successful at this stage of where this sales team is. Now, that can change over time. So I think when you have that process and you're holding your people accountable and you're having consistent one-on-ones and they say to you, like, hey, this isn't working for me as well as I want it to, I want to try something else. If you have people coming to you with that and you're shutting them down because you have the process, oh yeah, you're creating all kinds of potential issues. But then it's, well, hey, try it. And then that's where that leader comes in and says, okay, report back to me, man. How'd it go? Oh man, it worked really well. Okay, keep doing it. Report back to me. Or man, it only worked for a week. I think I caught some lightning in a bottle. I'm gonna go back to the old way. But you can see that how different that is than screw you. I know better. Your way sucks. Like, well, if I've proven that my way works and you buy into my way and you've executed my way and seen some success, well, then both sides of that relationship are going to be open to when one person goes, hey, I'll try something different. What do you think? Yeah, do it. It's because I've had people say, well, I don't want to turn my salespeople into robots. I'm like, good. Neither do I. Because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And the key word there is people. So it's this balance of like, we have this framework, process, playbook, call it what you want, but we want people to think. We want people to try something new, maybe ask a different set of questions, go to a different networking group than you normally go to, maybe try to sell to a new industry or a new potential target customer. Don't abandon everything we do that works, but try it and then report back. Because what if they find what your next best practice is? What if they find it? And well, how do you think all of these things have been built? Someone had to try it, right? Someone had to go out there and cannonball into the pool. Let them try. And the key to that, and you said it earlier, communication. They communicate to you, you communicate them, you hold them accountable, you ask a lot of questions, you make sure that they're still representing the company well with these new things that they're trying, but you let them try while they're still doing the other things that we know work. So it's because I agree, like you can find some of the best employees who have that in, I'd say, bone in their body, but I'd say more that's how they're wired. Like, oh, there's a better way. I work with a guy like that right now. He's new. He's like, hey, have you thought about this? Have you done that? I'm like, no, I haven't. Tell me more about why you think that way. Like, what if he solves something that I've never even thought we had to solve? Like, oh my gosh. And he doesn't report to me. We're colleagues. But like that energy and that wiring up here, you don't want to shut it down.
No, it's really important, especially to have people like that, because as what the things you were talking about, if it's out in the field, if it's sales or something completely different, they know more about it than you do. And I can tell you one thing, if you spent less time doing it than me, your way is more or less irrelevant in my eyes. And it can be a good or a bad thing, but 90% of the time it's a good thing because I know more. I will nod along and play because I don't care for the argument. I would rather save my time, show you it works, and then we don't have to argue. Because it works. Look, problem? No, good. Thank you. Let's carry on. They might not say thank you, but they are gonna be thankful inside of them. They might be too prideful, but yeah, that's even better in my eyes. But going back to more the like going into like sales strategy, because a big mistake I see a lot of people doing is they find the closest thing to what they have. What does it cost? let's place a little under that. What is some things a business owner can go in and do to avoid that you have experienced along your journey?
Wow. It's a really important question that you're posing, and it's an important part to any sales strategy, but any business strategy. I look at it as some people call it the wishbone, right? Like if you've seen this wishbone, it's basically 3 ways that you can go bring your business down this path. Like we'll use Apple, for example. Apple on that side of the fishbone, they have the best technology. Does anyone ever concern themselves with what an Apple product costs? No. Does anybody go to Apple and say, you know what? I wish my iPhone did this. I want to customize it. No. That's where they're at. That's their kind of their business strategy, their value. We'll use Walmart as an example. You know what everyone on the planet knows what makes Walmart what they are. Like them, dislike them, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you dislike them, like them, it doesn't matter. The quality of their product or their offering is good enough, but they win on scale and they win on price. And then you look at like USAA, the insurance company that sells mainly to veterans families, and the like. Well, their offering is completely customizable. So there's these 3 prongs, right? So I share that for context. Like if I talk to a business owner who's like, hey, here's my product, here's my offering. It's similar to the competitor. You know, we're basically equal. I'm just going here on price. Like, so then in that wishbone scenario, you're kind of in the middle of that. We're a little bit lower on price, but we're not that much more efficient, like a Walmart is efficient, to where our margin is going to be good enough, you know, to make up for that small price. We're not really customizing anything, and our technology's okay. Like you're living in no man's land. Like there's nothing unique. You don't have this strong differentiation. Now, I share that. Can you build a successful business on that? Sure. Selling it's a heck of a lot harder. Because the only thing I'm selling is that competitor's $150 and I'm $148. Well, what if that competitor has better technology? They're more efficient in some area. They're more customizable than me. They have a relationship that I don't have, that most people who buy something over time, they're not going to give up a relationship that's been productive for them to save $2, or in some cases, save 20 grand or 2 million, depending on the situation. So when I start to look at it, I think that business owner needs to look at that wishbone. I don't have it up on my screen right now, but it's where are you going to play? What are you going to be? You can't be in the middle. You have to pick one. Are you brand and technology like Apple? Are you efficiency like a Walmart? Are you customizable? Like you got to kind of pick one. Like, where are you? What is your product and service? Why you? And it can't just be a couple of bucks. And the businesses I've seen that have figured that out, like the examples I gave, and there's hundreds of others that aren't, you know, driving $10 billion of revenue every 45 seconds, you know, but there are $20-30 million a year businesses that have figured that out. And they don't get into the pricing battle. They walk away. They're like, oh, well, you're looking for the lower cost provider that's more efficient in certain areas. That's not us. So it probably doesn't fit. So you don't chase that business. You walk away from it because you know where your value is. That's where I've seen like you can avoid that, and saves you time, increases your close rate. In many cases, it increases your margin if you've built the right margin profile, and you keep clients longer once you win them. So that's long answer, but that's kind of what I've seen people do successfully. Or when they try to skip that, then 9 times out of 10, they skip it. Then they come back to it later. They're like, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. Like we're only winning 5% of these opportunities. What are we doing wrong? They eventually come back to define.
Price is a very dangerous game. Very dangerous game.
Very.
Because things go wrong. And as a business, if you want to keep customers happy, you kind of have to fix them. There needs to be money for that as well. But
and then there's that. Yes.
if you can't fix them, people are never going to buy from you again. And then, getting them in and using all that money for that's kind of just a waste, to put it bluntly.
It is.
I'm more of, when you mentioned those three, I'm always like more keyed towards the apples, because looking at the big companies and the ones that are grown recently, they are more in that area. I don't really want to have 1,000 grocery stores. I think one is
Yeah.
stressful enough. I don't need 1,000 of them. No, 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 no.
It's an interesting thing. When you talk to a business owner, some of it is what's your preference? Where are you comfortable? Where do you see the most value? And that's, you know what? And that's okay too. Where it becomes a bigger issue is when you start to build out a team. So if you are up there in the, hey, the business I'm building is that apple, we're on that side of the fishbone here. Okay, great, great. But if your team thinks you're Walmart, whoa boy, like you've created this gap internally to where you're like, we're chasing the Apple opportunities of the world. Like this is where we're going. And they're down here like saying it's, if I can only get it to be $148, they'd buy it. It's like, well, we sell it at 200 because that's what you see what I mean? Like it's the direction you take your business, whoever that business owner is, great. That's fine. Build it accordingly. Build your plan, build your strategy, all of it. If you don't communicate that clearly, a lot of this comes back to communication again. Like if you don't do that, and you just say, hey, go sales team, go sell stuff. And they're like, oh, okay. I'm going to go try to get someone to buy something. Like, because I have countless examples of that where they're like, man, I hired this new salesperson and they're just every opportunity they bring me, they're like, if we can discount it 20%, we can discount it. Man, that's not what we do here. There's been a gap of communication somewhere, or you have no strategy at all and everybody's just all over the place. Like, is that the salesperson's fault? I would say no, because they weren't given the right direction. If you don't give them direction, you get what you get. Maybe you find yourself a unicorn that could just magically figure it out. The last time I checked, I don't know where the unicorn are grazing. If you know, send me a note. I would love to go see them. But it's this, if your leader and owner isn't guiding that strategy and communicating it, holding people accountable to it, you're kind of just hoping. And hopium, I forget who said that to me. Hopium is not, like, it's not real. It's not a plan. It's not a strategy. So,
Oh. Well, if you're sitting there with the specific problem of having the people not knowing that you are an Apple type of company, they think you're Walmart. I have a solution I would love for you to try. You'll just leave like bitten like apples with a bite out of it around the office until they remember it. At some point, they're not gonna that one. They're not gonna forget. It's gonna stick in the brain sometimes if you just all over the place, everywhere, every desk, just
everywhere.
just apples everywhere.
I mean,
then one point
apples
they gotta be very slow not to get it. I think at one point they're gonna get so annoyed they're gonna agree with it no matter what. Like, just stop leaving the apples, please. It's disgusting. I don't want them. Oh, I don't want your half-chewed apples. Please no. So, talking about the human side of things and tech sales, that's still a very relevant thing because, as you mentioned yourself word for word, people buy from people they know, like, and trust, underlying people.
Yeah.
So how do you bring like the human element into a tech-driven space?
And the more tech-driven we all become, I would make the argument that the more important this is becoming. The first place I would start, and I'm going to preface this with, whatever CRM tool, whatever your tech stack is whatever your tech stack is. The clients I work with, they're all over the place. We're tech agnostic. I've heard of CRMs that clients use that I've never heard of before I talked with them. So the tech is the tech. But where I start with the important is, one, you have to be consistent and go, again, we're coming back to communication again. If you are only sitting down, talking with a member of your sales team like once a quarter, and that turns into pipeline review, you're not really understanding what they're doing in the field. You're not really coaching them. You're not really trying to understand what are they struggling with. And again, I'm not against pipeline review, but that is not this human element to this. So I look at sales organizations and say, how often is the sales leader having a one-on-one conversation with each member of their sales team that isn't pipeline review? That is, okay, hey, Mads, last week you told me you were going to get this done. You were going to get these 4 or 5 things done. How'd it go? How'd those things play out? And now, again, if you said, hey, I'm going to close this deal and I'm the sales leader, I'm going to know if you did that. Hey, good job on that deal. That's great. Like, tell me a little bit more about it. Like, how did it all wrap up? Like, 1, we had a plan. 2, it was your plan, not my plan. 3, you executed part of that weekly plan, and I acknowledge that you did a good job. All of this in one-to-one, human-to-human communication. And let's say one of those things you didn't get done. Okay. My job is not to bust your chops. It's, well, what got in the way of getting that done? It could be, oh, the client had to reschedule to this week. Oh, okay, good. So should we move that, most important thing, one of those things you got to get done, should we move it to this week? Does that make sense? Yeah. Or if it's, you know what, I just didn't get to it. Okay. It could just be a human thing. It could be you had a sick kid. It could be you got sick. It could mean your car broke down. Who knows? But it's hearing from those people what's working, what's not. Are they getting the things done that are in that weekly plan of theirs? I see that as really, really important because everything I just said, I can automate in a CRM. Tell me all of the opportunities that Matt's created. Send me a report of all his activity that was logged in CRM. Like, I can literally build a report and never have to talk to you to get some of this information. But I need to talk to you to understand what's really going on and you said it earlier. Hey, the people in the field are the tip of the spear. They know better than me. I need to hear it from you. I can't just read a report. So to me, it's that simple interaction of a consistent, only has to be an hour. If you get done in 45 minutes, fine. If you got to cut it short to a half hour, fine. But you know what's happening. I know what's happening. You have to come prepared to that meeting. I have to come prepared. You might have some things you need from me. And it builds that trust. And the other thing it does is it builds accountability without micromanaging. It's, oh yeah, I got all those things done for my plan last week. Oh, good job. Like, what do you got happening this week? It doesn't have to be adversarial. And the funniest thing about that in a tech-driven environment, what I just described costs no money to do. You don't need to buy anything. If you struggle with kind of executing one-on-ones, hit me up. I'll send you a free template, like in a Word doc. Like, it doesn't cost you anything except some time. And when I was a sales leader, one of the things I did correctly was consistent one-on-ones. We could split hairs all day if I was executing them to the best of my ability, but I was doing them. And I learned from my team quickly, oh, here's what's working, here's what's not. This person's not meeting my expectations. Okay, I need to be clearer on those expectations. So that to me is the most important thing in this tech-driven world, is like that. Again, you can do it in person if your team's in person. You can do it over Zoom or whatever. I have people that do it just on the phone, regular phone, but having it. And I've seen businesses that didn't do it and started to do it, and their results improved. One simple change of human.
It all starts with just having one conversation. It's normally the one out of the 100 conversations. But you got to have that one conversation, which is why it's important to take the time to talk to everybody, since you never know who's the person that's going to give you that input. But for the person that want to be a better sales leader and don't want to replace all of their salespeople with AI, it's a good place to reach you.
Well, hit me up on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way. I mean, I could give people my email. Like, I'm an open book. Like, I can give people my phone number, call it, email me, LinkedIn me, whatever is appropriate. But it's this, I love AI. I use it every day because I know what I needed to do. You and I talked a little bit about this. I suck at taking notes. I'm terrible at it. So I use an AI note taker. Why wouldn't I? Makes me better, makes me more effective, makes me more efficient. The people I'm talking to understand why I'm doing it. It actually helps me serve them better because I'm not missing anything because I suck at taking notes. So I'm not against all of the tech-driven world, all the stuff. I mean, I use CRM, I use that tool, I use a bunch of other things depending on the situation, but it does not replace that human interaction. And something that I'll add to that, because I hear a lot from sales leaders. I hear this a lot. I talk to people on my team all the time. They're calling me, they're texting me, we trade conversation. Good. That's a good, positive culture. That's not what I'm talking about in a one-on-one. That's like hey, I'm trying to wrap this deal up. I need to call my boss and get his feedback, or hey, I need to maybe get something approved, or maybe there's something I got to change in the terms of our agreement. Like that back and forth is just, it's the ebb and flow of doing business. That one-on-one is completely different because it's a performance management conversation, and that is exactly what it's geared towards. So for any sales leaders that aren't doing them, that want to, you have to set it up appropriately. Your team has to know what you expect of them, what they can expect of you, the cadence. Don't put it on their calendar for next Tuesday and don't tell them why. Like, don't do that. And then they're like, oh, when are we going to have the other one? I don't know. Whenever Matt sends me another email, like it's the consistency and the bringing them along the why that really makes it hum, as opposed to having another meeting for the sake of having another meeting. No one wants that. So I would just add that small piece to it, because it, when done right, it has a big impact.
Meetings are a waste of time.
Most of them.
Most of
I'll
them.
I'll tell you though, the current company I'm a part of, so not this week, last week, my one-on-one had to get moved. It got canceled. It just, my boss couldn't make it, so he canceled it. So my one-on-one yesterday was not 2 hours long, but it went 15 minutes over. Why? I needed things from him that we didn't cover the week before. Still ran my plan. I still did the things I knew I had to do. It's not like I'm just floating around not knowing what to do. But I came back to him. I'm like, hey, we didn't meet last week. These things weren't urgent. If they were urgent, I would have gotten them handled. But here's some things I need from you and some things I've been working on that I want to try to do. So one-on-ones are a two-way street. Like, it's not just sales leader to salesperson. It's salesperson to sales leader too. Again, when done correctly with all the things we've been talking about.
I think a good way to wrap it up is it's just like having a conversation. It's kind of simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to come on the Business Library today, having this conversation with me. I feel enjoyed it.
Me too. Thanks for having me.